Let me get this set up. Good morning. Give me some energy. Unmute your phone. Say good morning. Let's just be thanking God that we woke up this morning. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and get started today. And as always, I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for taking the time this morning to just jump on this call. Man, I really just want to talk to you about what's necessary for us to be successful, and not just the insurance opportunity, but also in life, right? Let me close this window because it's kind of loud. But also in life. Mark, always thank you for another opportunity to speak into the lives of all of those agents who have taken the time to jump on this call this morning, as well as the individuals that will be listening to this a little bit later, right? The replay. And last week, when Mark hit me up and was like, "You're going to be on a call on Tuesday," I had already had an idea of what I wanted to go over on my next call. And I was like, "Yep, I'm ready. I'm ready to go." Right. And the title was going to be, how can your God given talents fit in this business so that you can truly thrive and be fulfilled within this opportunity. And I've thought about the different structure of how, we should run our business with God first, family second, and career third, our insurance opportunity third. But what does that really mean? Excuse me. Like, what does that really mean? We hear it all the time, but like, what does that really mean to each and every one of us to have God first, family second, and our insurance business third? And as the days continue to go on, as I continue dealing with my own personal traumas and dramas, mental distractions, and life in itself, it just hit me. It's like, the problem is me. The problem is you. And yes, we even say that all the time. But to really identify it, to really sit down within yourself and take that time to figure it out, right? How do we fix that? I was going to tell you about a story when I was in the field, and it was like it just clicked. Like, everything just clicked. The business, the understanding of the business, how I personally figured out like my personality, what I liked to do, and how that could fit into this industry, and what I needed to do in order to be able to show up to be successful, right? And shortly after I figured out how my personality and my gifts would fit, then I figured out my why. And it really wasn't something that I figured out. It was when my sister passed away, as most of you guys know that story. And it was like, oh, snap. The money that was coming in where my mother was caring for my sister is gone. So now I have to take care of my mother. I have to financially be able to take care of my mom. And just a month before, I was asking to borrow a couple dollars, right? Even as an adult. And I laugh about that today. But that's where the why came in. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And it definitely is one that is very strong for me. And it keeps me going even when I don't want to. Not to say that's my only why, but that is a very strong one, right? But then, as I'm always on YouTube and I'm always listening to different motivational clips, gospel songs, all of the things, some of my old school jams. I do a lot on YouTube. YouTube is still my jam. I'm old. Don't judge me. I stumbled upon a YouTube video of Oprah Winfrey and Arthur Brooks, and they were talking about how to build your life. And I'm like, oh, I like that. Let me see what they're talking about. How to build your life. And I felt that it would be timely for my call today. And I was right. Now, I'm not going to go over everything, that whole call, because it was about an hour long. But just in the first 20 to 30 minutes, I was like, that is it. And in the first 10 minutes of the podcast, they posed a statement and then a question. And I want you to really listen to this. The statement was, treat your life as your startup business. Treat your life as your startup business, as it is. And why are we doing what we're doing? And what is the mission of our own life? What is the mission for our life? If you never, and I said never, if you never thought of this for your life, put a 1 in the chat for me. Let's see who's listening. Put a 1. And don't worry, I'm not calling on anybody today. I'm not calling on anybody. If you never thought of this for your life, put a 1. If you're somebody who thought about the mission for your own life, excuse me, thought about the mission for your life, you treated your life as a startup business, put a 2. Just curious. Now, yesterday during my powwow with the ladies that showed up for the Life Now team meeting, which is selfish plug every Monday at 11 o'clock on Serve the People Live Dallas Room 9. As we were having our powwow, and it was amazing. It was so good. Norma, one of our newer agents to the squad, had asked, what is our mission statement? Like, we should have a mission statement. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Because of course there is one. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Because I wrote down a mission statement for the Life Now Insurance Group years ago, right? Quite some time ago. And that is something that should be revisited, to make sure that the mission that you had down is still the vision. And honestly, if your whole team does not know the mission, if your family doesn't know your mission, if you don't know your life mission, where are we going for real? Where are we going? How can we fit into a mission or a vision if we don't know what it is? Everyone wants to be included and felt needed, period. So, of course, after that meeting, immediately I made some adjustments. I was banging out text messages to certain individuals like, okay, we need this, I need that, let's do this. And let's, it's like immediate changes, because that's what's necessary in order to be able to see an immediate change within our life, within our culture, within our business. So back to us, because I'm talking to me too. Arthur in this podcast had mentioned that there are problems in the climate and the weather. And he's not really talking about our climate and weather, but the climate so much as looking back in the 80s and the 90s, where people have started to be less happy, right? And I talk about this all the time, with my friends and family, like, wow, it's like, it looks so depressed outside. People are so angry. They're just so sad. Like, people aren't walking around smiling all the time. Like, I'm the weird one because I smile at everybody. And it's like, why are you smiling at everybody? And it's like, I just want to smile because it makes me feel good. And I don't like to be sad. I don't like to be down. But people, if you pay attention, they're less happy, right? Why? Because they're living a less spiritual life. And I was like, there it is. I said God first. And they said it. They said people are living a less spiritual life, a religious life. They're not finding life meaningful. They're not having close relationships with their friends or even their family members. And most friends and family don't even know them well. People have less of a sense that they're serving others in their businesses, in their job. And then the weather. The weather would be the storms. And he mentioned that there were 2. I only went through the 1, but 2 different major storms, weather storms, back in 2008 and 2009. And most people will say, and somebody's unmuted, if you can make sure that you mute so that we don't hear the background. But one of the storms most people would think back in 2008 and 2009 would be the financial crisis. But he was talking about social media. Social media hit the platforms in 2008, 2009. Big time. That's when we all got introduced to it. Twitter became the platform for people to be intensely negative and share their views. And Instagram became the platform for people to compare themselves to others. So social media actually makes people feel lonelier. You may get a sense of satisfaction by the comments, the likes, But it's all really meaningless and temporary happiness. You can never get enough likes. You can never get enough shares. You can never get enough views. It's kind of a trap that keeps you going and looking for more and more and more, getting stimulated. But it's false. He gave an example of when you're hungry and you're walking down the street and you smell this delicious food. It might be from, some burger place, right? And you're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. You go in here, you get a burger, you get some fries, you tear it up. Now you're full. You drink some pop and you're full. But like an hour or so later, you feel like you're hungry again. And the reason is because you never really satisfied the nutritional needs that your body was craving. You just filled it with some junk. And social media is the junk food of social life. If used incorrectly, there is a correct way to use social media. But if used incorrectly, it is the junk food for your social life. If you agree that you have found social media as junk food for you, that you've been consumed at times, felt that, you've got on there to look at a flyer and then you were on there scrolling and then you were liking on videos and you were laughing at videos, put a number 3, put a 3. If you know that you have suffered at times looking for those likes on your post, looking to see who commented, looking to see, who shared, and not for the purpose of seeing if you can help them with your business, but just because you needed that little, somebody's watching, somebody cares, right? You're looking for that junk food satisfaction, if you will. Guys, happiness is not a destination, it's a direction. It's a direction. Happiness is nothing more than emotions, and emotions are nothing more than information that we need in reaction to the outside environment. We can possibly be 100% happy all the time, but we need our negative experiences because they're necessary for us to learn and grow. They train us to be vigilant, right? But our mental conflict is that we don't want to feel anything negative ever. We don't want to deal with it. All we want is to feel safe. But this is why we're unsettled. There's 4 pillars that you need in life. And without them, you end up feeling not necessarily sad, but you do still feel lonely. You can feel distance or even disconnected. 4 pillars. The first one, and this set of pillars is actually what the world would tell us we need. But they're not actually the 4 pillars that we need to be operating our life with in order to truly be successful. But these are the 4 that we always hear. And these are the 4 that keep us running and running and running and running and never truly being satisfied and to the point of giving up, even in the business. Money. Power. People are always trying to get a title, right? I see people, let me go back to the money. I'm sorry, money. We may be making more money than we ever made before. That should give us a sense of satisfaction, but we're not happy because we're not making as much as John, who started the business with me, or the new 21-year-old who came in and crushing it. And we don't really know the story. We don't know if they're getting any help. We don't know anything, but they're crushing it. And we're like, well, how come this young buck that doesn't know anything about life really is doing 20, 30, 40,000 a month in production, and I'm stuck at 7? But your 7 is more than you ever made, right? Power. I see people jumping ship from IMO to IMO, from agency to agency, looking for a title, looking for power, looking for, that recognition. I'm trying to be the top dog, if you will, but they were so successful, made more than ever, and was thriving. But because they felt that they needed power, they needed position, they needed status, if you will. They didn't feel like they could ever get that, even though they were getting more than they ever had before, and nothing was really wrong. 3, pleasure. Gaining pleasure, right? The wrong types of pleasures. And we're going to leave that right there because we all know about the pleasures. Getting pleasure for buying like the big cars and the big houses, the jewelry, you know, the girls, you know, the guys that are making money and now they like, you know, at the clubs or whatever, you know, the women, all of the things that create the false sense of pleasures that we never can be satisfied in. And then 4, fame, right? These 4 pillars are the world's definition of success and happiness. If we get those 4 things, you know, nothing can penetrate us, nothing can hurt us. We're always going to be happy. But we see that there's a lot of individuals in the music industry that have all of those things, and unfortunately, they're taking their lives. They're on drugs like none other. Raheem and I were watching. Oh my God, did I just go blank? Elvis. Oh my goodness, we were watching Elvis and the documentary, and I mean, it was just so sad. It was just so sad. And it was like, you know, at the end, they said that Elvis died because he died of a broken heart of love, right? And it wasn't really the love of his family. It was the love of the crowd. It was the love of, you know, just love, the false sense of love from his following, right? That he had to keep doing more. He had to keep getting out there. He needed the drugs to keep him at that high energy, the high level, to be able to do all the tours, to see all the people, to go everywhere. Everybody, I love you, I love you, I love you, but they don't really love him, right? But he needed that. He thrived on that. If you did not see that documentary, go watch it. It's pretty deep. At the end, I remember his wife walking out, and yep, he was 42 years young. His wife was walking out, and he sat on the steps, you know, broken, and he was like, "Do you still love me?" Like that's all he was. That's what he needed, right? And it was killing him. The true 4 pillars that will bring us peace, joy, happiness, success, that will have our business thriving. The first one is faith. You have to believe in something bigger than yourself. Truly believing in that. Putting the time in so that you can understand who you are, whose you are, like what we're supposed to be doing. And even that is a challenge because I've been digging in deeper and deeper and deeper into my faith, and I'm getting broken down, shook up, turned around, and it's necessary because, as I said in the last talk, sorry, Remy, as I said in the last talk, in order for us to get to that next level that God is calling us to, we have to change. We have to change. If there was a way for us to get to that 6-figure or 7-figure or 8-figure, the way that we are, we'd already be there. But we are not there. So there's things that have to be stripped out and from our lives in order for us to get to that next level. Starts with your faith, your belief system, trust, right? Then it's your family. We in this business, we are in a relationship business. When we're talking to the clients, we're building a relationship, or you should be. Those are going to be the people that stay on the books because they trust you, they believe in you. You send them text messages to check in, you send them postcards, you send a letter, you know, you follow up every 6 months or so just to say hi. You send them a birthday text. You know, these are things that we should be doing in our business so that these clients don't feel like you just collected, collected a check and kept it moving. Right? Family. We have to build our families and be strong in the family. It can't be like it was mentioned earlier where we're not really connected. We don't really know each other. Right? 3 is your friends. Where most people are like, I'm good with just 1 or 2 people, you know, close friends. That's enough. Some people are like, I don't need any friends. I can't trust anybody. Somebody burned me before. They told my business and this and then the other. And that I'm sure has happened to everybody. I mean, I could put the number 4 in there, my daggone self, for that one. Where you thought you were telling somebody you were, confiding and believing that they were going to be able to help you through something, and then they went and told their friend, and their friend told somebody else, and it came back to you, and it was a whole different story than what it was in the beginning, and you're like, what in the world, right? But there are some true individuals that are out here that we can connect with, that can and will be able to give you sound advice and truly be able to experience life with, right? Friends, family, faith, family, friends, and then work. Your work needs to be one that serves others, because our sole purpose is to be servants, right? Social media will have us out here believing that the cars, the houses, traveling 20 times a year, being on the beach with our toes in the sand every chance we get, um, you know, being in all the things and doing all the things is what really creates happiness, that we'll be happy if we can do those things or successful. I remember even myself, I'm like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait for our next trip, right? Our next trip going. I love to travel. And I love to travel, one, because, I mean, when you go to places like Aruba or, Cancun, or, I mean, anywhere else from home, you get away from the pressures of home, the bills, everything. It's like you're on vacation. I like the vacation vibes. I like the sun. I like, what I mean? It's warm. People, when they're on vacation, are happier, right? They're smiling, and I get to exchange the smile when you talk to different people. I love that. I love that. It brings life to me. But I could be experiencing that right here. It really is just a mindset, positioning yourself differently, right? Positioning ourselves differently. Because none of those things that we even see, most of the things we see on social media aren't even really, reality. Especially with AI right now, where I literally can take a picture downstairs and I could put my background like I'm in Hawaii. And you would have no idea that I'm just in my living room, right? And so other people that are looking at these things online, they're jealous, they're envious, they want it, and they don't even really know what they want, because they don't really know what's really behind the picture or the story in a lot of cases. Life is better when we share it, with others. And so what does this have to do with our business opportunity? Everything. Everything. This business is energy driven. If our spirits aren't in alignment, if we are not filled to be able to serve these clients, we're going to be on here snapping out with the crazy people. We'll be ready to cuss the ones that cussed at us. We'll do all the things, right? Because we won't be built up enough internally to be able to deal with all the rejection that we have to deal with within this organization, within this business, right? It's everything. We have to do the self work. I have to do the self work to get me to that next level. So do you. And it looks different for all of us, but does it? But does it? Where is it in our life that we are struggling the most? And how is that affecting your business, your life business? Because again, our life is our first startup business, right? Our life. I think about that after listening to this podcast, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm always running and building and doing for everybody else. Like, that's my thing. I love, like, I'm an encourager, an inspirer. I motivate, I train. Like, I know, like, my mission. I believe that's my mission in life, I'm a giver, right? I'm a giver of life. But when have I given all that to me? Right? Because if we're always giving, then we end up depleted, and then we're exhausted, and then we're crazy, and we're fussing, and we're stressed out because we're not pouring back in. And that's where the faith side comes in. You should always be filling yourself up first, so then you're able to give. And in the business, We're in the best business to provide and be servants. This is all about serving. Whether we are building an agency, we're serving our agents. We are out talking to the clients on the phone, we're servants. We are providing a need that everybody needs. They need it. Whether they admit it or not, they need it. We are here to serve in a great way. I don't know how many times I end up praying with somebody on the phone or in the field. Seems more in the field than over the phone, but actually having to pray with somebody. And maybe not even writing a policy. But the reason I was supposed to be at that house was because they needed somebody to keep them from jumping off that bridge, to keep them from, doing XYZ. Like, we are in an amazing opportunity. And by us being out here serving others, we truly can be financially free. And that may not bring full happiness, but to be able to share experiences, help other people, make a difference, and know that you are doing right by others, that should bring you a sense of joy, peace, and happiness. And why we're not experiencing those things is because we're not doing those things. And that's my time. Feel free to unmute or not. We got a good 3 minutes. And then we're going to do what we need to do and do the self-work so that we can help others.
Amen. Beautiful, Chrissy. I wanted to say that I grew up in Philly and where, I got bullied and picked on. But I remember that there was a DJ in the morning on Power 99 FM in Philly. And he would say, he's like, when you see people, you're like, you're coming, near the amount of 100 feet because, I'm bad at numbers. But anyhow, when you're near a person, you walk past them, you say hello, you smile and say, good morning. And that's what I did. I just started saying good morning and smiling at everyone I saw. And here I was a teenager, like, in the 80s. I was like, 12, 13, 14 years old. And I would just say good morning to everyone. And they would look at me and go, who is she? Why is she saying hi to me? Like you said, why is she so happy? Nobody's that happy. But I thank Yahweh that he made me happy. And I thank Yahweh for that BJ in the morning that taught me to do that. And it made me just, see people and not just to think about what I was going through. I lost my mom at 14 and, that was a traumatic time. But it made me give love to other people because everyone needs love. Everyone needs to feel that. Yeah. And I just, when you said that, it just made me think of that. So thank you. Great job, honey.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Don't change, Monica. And Chrissy is the exact same way. Good morning, everybody. Good morning again, Chrissy.
Good morning.
She literally speaks to everybody. Everybody's hair looks nice. Everybody's outfit is nice. Everybody's dog is cute. I mean, everybody. And if anybody knows Chrissy, y'all know I'm not playing. One of the things that you mentioned sparked a whole lot of fire for me. And there's not enough time to share everything, but it's the self-work talk portion of your talk.
Yeah.
Self-work is where it's at. That's the separator. That's what has somebody in shape versus somebody who's not. That's what has somebody financially okay versus somebody who's not. That is the difference between somebody who has a healthy relationship versus somebody who doesn't. It's the self-work. And that's something that we all avoid. I've heard it mentioned that if you point the finger, you got to be careful pointing the finger because every time you point the finger at whatever you're blaming, whoever you're blaming, you got 3 fingers pointing back to you.
Yes.
Which is a good reminder. It's a good mental picture as I'm blaming all these people and all these things and all these situations. I need to really take a close look at self. We really need to take a close look at self and do the work. A couple of things real quick and I'm out. One time I was on a trip, we used to call them vacations, where we would go out of town and we would take a bunch of leaves, we'd check into a hotel and we would just be there for a week. And first day that we get there, There's this agent named Jay, just call him Jay, and he was struggling, and he was coming on this trip because he was trying to get into my rhythm, if you will, which I'm pumping out 20,000 a month. There's agents who were doing better, some who were doing around that, who were trying to get to that point. And here comes Jay, and we're all done with our day. We finished up. Jay was the first one back to the hotel. When we were supposed to meet up at the hotel, we were supposed to meet up in this lounge called the Blue Agave. So this is a Mexican place, and he's got the bucket of Coronas, and he's just this is our first night there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes over with this bucket of Coronas, and he's handing everybody beers, and I'm taking one at a time, and I'm putting them back in the bucket, and I set them in front of him. I'm like, we're not here to do that, But he was on a party mission, and it was the same type of stuff, lifestyle that he was doing at home. I'm like, you could have stayed at home for all of that. And again, it took him a while to understand what I was saying to him that day. But that's just a picture of somebody who has some self work to do. He was having a hard time getting up in the morning and being on the calls because he was hungover from the night before. Because he would like to drink while he watches basketball games, his football games, and there's a game on every day.
Wow.
So if that's your lifestyle, just imagine how that translates into your dollars, to your production and whatnot. And people all the time say, "Well, I'm moving to Atlanta. I'm moving to Florida. I'm moving here," because they've heard of all these opportunities, all the lack of opportunities that they see in their space at home. But what they forget is they take themselves with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying lack of drive, lack of determination, lack of hustle, lack of whatever it is. They take that to that next city, and person among person that I could think of have either gone to that city and they're still doing the same type of stuff, still having the same type of reality, or they've gone back to where they came from and said it didn't work there either. Or in this industry, we go from carrier to carrier, company to company. I need all these things, and I need to have the best, and the shiniest, and most, the best premium. Man, self work. Great topic, Chrissy.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for speaking up. I'll be trying to get you on these calls. I appreciate that.
Hush, hush.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone else like to speak up on the call? All right. So we don't have anyone else, guys. Please take the information, take it serious. Let's look at our lives as our startup business, and let's make the changes that are necessary because we have the ability, we have been given the rights to create our own life. And where we are today is based on the decisions we made yesterday. Today's a new day. What are we going to do different? Peace.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great topic. Thank you, honey. Love you.
Love you too,
Be
babe.
blessed, everyone.
If you enjoyed listening to this morning's talk, feel free to put your comments down below. I am hiring now in multiple states. You can go to the lifenowgroup.com, jump on the schedule, let's chat, see if this is a good opportunity for you. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.